Well, a lot of people don't know where to begin when buying their first home. The process can be overwhelming, but understanding the mortgage is key.
And joining us in the sponsored segment is Jen and Serena with River Valley Credit Union. Ladies, it's so great to meet you today.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Now, I am a homeowner myself, so navigating this path was a little dicey at some points.
I'm not yet, but I would love these tips.
So, Serena, we're going to start off with you. How would you recommend potential home buyers to start this process?
Well, the first thing I usually suggest is to sit down and do a budget. I know it sounds like a nasty word, but you got to sit down and figure out what your normal expenses are, what your income is, so you can figure out what kind of a payment you'd be comfortable with. And then you'll want to think about your credit. You want to have a good credit score, because the better credit score you have, the better rate you're going to get. The easiest and simplest way to get that score to bump up is to pay off credit cards and let it sit for a couple of months. After that, then start saving for a down payment. Then you'll want to reach out to a lender, and a trusted mortgage officer is going to be able to help you through the process. And then find a realtor. I usually suggest sitting down with 2 or 3 different realtors so you can interview them to find out who's going to best fit with your personality and what goal you're trying to achieve. After that, you can start looking for your house. It's a scary process at first, but if you can get the right team on your side, it will be a fun experience.
You make it sound so simple.
No, that was very well said. And I mean, you know, with the credit score and all that, there's always that question around payments. Right. So Jen, what are the typical down payment requirements for most mortgage programs?
So most mortgage programs are going to require that you have at least 3 to 5% down. With conventional, first-time home buyers can do 3% down. With FHA, they can do 3.5% down.
Now, what other costs should they be worried about as well when they're in that process?
So there are closing costs involved also, so you're going to have to make sure you have the money to pay for those too, in addition to your down payment.
Gotta read the fine print.
I found that out in the middle of my home buying process,
Yes.
and that was a rude wake-up call. So,
Right.
Serena, that's my question. How important are closing costs to know about for homeowners?
They're very important because they can add up, but most of your closing costs are going to be the cost to do the appraisal, the title work that's to be done. There's some other fees in there. Again, your loan officer is going to give you a loan estimate that will spell all those out, and it'll come down to a bottom line of what you need to bring to closing. So it'd be your closing costs and your down payment.
So you both make it sound so simple.
Right. Right. And I mean, for potential home buyers with, you know, varying credit scores, what are the minimum credit score requirements for different types of loans? Because there's always that difference.
Right. So most loan programs are going to require that you have at least a 620 or better on your credit score. And then with FHA, they will actually allow us to go down to 580, so we can go a little bit lower if we need to there.
So I'm glad you brought that up. How do FHA loans compare to conventional loans? Like, what are the key benefits to these?
So they're both great loan programs, they just differ slightly. So with FHA, they are a little more lenient on the income, so we can go a little bit higher on pre-approval price sometimes, which is nice. With conventional, the nice thing there is PMI is removed after you pay off 20% of your loan. So with FHA, it's on there for at least 11 years. So. And then also FHA is going to have some requirements regarding the home. So sometimes if there's things like peeling paint or missing handrails, they're going to make the seller fix it before we can close.
I mean, these are definitely some good tips to have in your back
Grace
pocket.
is writing them down.
I feel like I need to know these because it's going to be sooner or later when I'm going to need a house.
Sooner or later.
So viewers at home, you can find out all that information on your screen. All your mortgage or becoming a new homeowner questions, go to rivervalleycu.org or call the number right there on your screen for more information. Ladies, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
again
us.
for having us.
Of course, and this segment was sponsored by River Valley Credit Union.